Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I'm excited to be bringing to you my fourth game in Season 4 Division 2 of the Pokemon Premier League. Yes, indeed. Now, as you probably know, today we are going up against my good buddy Carson, aka Toxic Gaming, and the Chicago Bewears. His links down in the description below, make sure you check them out. Also down there you will find links hopefully to the PPL Discord server and indeed the Teespring stuff. That should always be down there. You'll also find a link to my team building analysis video if you want to get an in-depth sort of view of my thought process going into this game. All the sets I brought, the various move sets, EV spreads, everything you need to know about my team is in that video. But to very briefly go over it, I've got bulky offensive Newcrustle, this weird memey physically defensive stockpile charge beam passing Mawile. I've got a standard offensive Zangoose. I've got max HP specially offensive 3 attacks rest Dragonair. I've got the agility Rocky MZ Zapdos and a focus sash Mamoswine. Now Carson, on his side of the field we have got Decidueye, Dugtrio, the Stuffle, Sneasel, Megazord X, and the Scizor. So a few surprises there. Didn't think we'd see the Stuffle, not gonna lie. Little bit worried about what that thing can do, but I should be able to handle it. Decidueye is a bit more tricksy. Again, any number of sets that thing could run, I'm gonna have to try and scout that out as quickly as possible. You know, as early into the game as I can. Really stoked not to see either of his water types. You know, no Milotic is really nice. It's never nice to have to try and deal with that thing. And no Omastar. Really happy. Didn't think he'd bring it, but happy nonetheless not to see it. So yeah, that's his team. I'm feeling okay about the matchup. I just need to not get things out of control. Thankfully, there's only one thing really that I would need to use Mamoswine Sash for, I think. That being the Zard. So I was feeling okay going into this one, but you never can tell, and I desperately need a win. So without further ado, let's get right into the battle and see exactly how things played out. So, here we go. Carson is going to issue his challenge. I choose to lead with Newcrustle, and as you can see, Carson is going to lead with his Decidueye. Nice, shiny little Decidueye rocking my veer right there as I go with Stupid Bill. Now, I nearly clicked Stealth Rock here, but I thought, no, I wanted to scout this thing, see how much damage you can do with Hidden Power Fire, but he U-turns. So I'm like, he's playing it scarfed early, but you never know, it doesn't do too much. It would have been nice to gauge with HP Fire, but he switched out, and who does he bring in but the Scizor? And I was just like, yes, come on, we nail the Scizor with the Hidden Power Fire, and turn 1, his what turned out to be banded Scizor is gone. And I was just like, best start ever, let's go. This is so good, we've got him on the ropes turn 1, I was so happy. So, back in comes Rocky My Veer. I'm like, yeah, okay, this thing definitely looks like it's being played as a Scarfer. So I'm going to switch on out of there. I don't particularly want to take another U-turn. I could just scout him and heal up, but I'm going to go into Dragonair hitting the field for the first time, as he does indeed go for that U-turn that I was expecting, and it does pitiful amounts of damage. So he's potentially mixed, and he's going to go into Stuffle. The matchup we never thought we'd see, Dragonair versus Stuffle. It is on, but I'm just going to go for a Fire Blast. Like, I have no reason not to. Going to nail this thing with a Fire Blast. He's clearly not specially defensive. He's going to go for the Frustration, but it's really not going to do a huge amount of damage, and I don't have to risk the miss at this point. He is going to go for the Baby Doll Eyes, maybe just to show he had it, or expecting perhaps to switch into Zangoose or something, I don't know, but from this range, I can go for a Dragon Pulse. I don't have to risk the Fire Blast miss. And yeah, this physically defensive Stuffle is going to go down, and Dragonair, ladies and gentlemen, going to net himself the first kill of the season. So now in comes Ric Flair, and it's the Sneasel, but I have like the consummate counter to Sneasel, and that is of course my Mawile. And I know he's going to go for the Ice Stab because he can't afford to mess around at this point. 6-4 down early game, it's not looking good. So there indeed comes the Icicle Crash, and we'll get a chance to sort of gauge what this Sneasel's working with. It does barely any damage, and as you can see, no Life Orb. He's potentially sashed, might be a Z-move user. Now at this point he is going to make the offensive play looking to trap me in with the Dug Trio. At this point I'm just going to go for a Toxic because he doesn't have a Steel type. I can Toxic anything, get it onto the Dug Trio, that's very nice. It breaks a potential Sash. But I rather think that he's going to go for the Earthquake here. He doesn't really have a choice. He might think he's got me trapped, but as you'll see here, of course I do have that Shed Shell. I'm going to take a calculated risk and hope he doesn't go for the Stone Edge, predicting this switch into Zapdos. But as you'll see, he goes for the Earthquake, and we're all good. Now if he switches out here, he's definitely choiced, and I suspect choice bans because we already suspect the Scarf Decidueye. And he does switch out. He is going to switch out there, so I'm like, okay, he's definitely choiced. He's going to go into that Scarf Decidueye. And as you'll see here, I know the switch is coming. I'm going to set up the Agility. And now Zapdos is pretty much in at this point. Zapdos is in. I'm going to go for the Heat Wave. I am very unfortunately going to miss, as Decidueye is going to go for the Shadow Ball. Now, Zapdos is very naturally bulky, very tanky, so it doesn't do much, and even with that Spadef drop, I will live another one. I know that. Carson knows that. He's going to make, once again, another offensive switch. He has to at this point. Into his Zard, knowing that I'm going to go for the Heat Wave. Now, this is going to do sort of around 20%, but I'm going to gamble on the fact he thinks my moves are Heat Wave, Thunderbolt, and Hidden Power Ice, and he's going to stay in. I guess potentially thinking I had that. He told me later he thought I might have Hidden Power Dragon, which he would have lived. But that, I'm afraid, Carson, is not the case, because as you'll see here, for the first time this season for PSG, we're going to go for a Z move, get that massively powerful Rockium Z going on the Zapdos, going to power up that Ancient Power with its Z move into the powerful Continental Crush, and here we go. Zapdos zooms up into the air, going to gather all that rock, and oh Megazard X, you do not know what's coming for you. Down comes a mountain. Zapdos just drops a mountain on Zard's head, and Zard, once again for Carson, is going to go down, and Zapdos picking up the kill, and we are on an absolute tear right now. So, in comes Rocky Maivia once more. I am going to go for the Heat Wave. I have no reason not to. This time we do connect, and as you see from the damage, if we had connected the last one, he would be gone, but it doesn't matter too much. As you see, he's going to go for the Shadow Ball here, and, you know, it's not going to kill, because naturally bulky, but gambling on the fact he very much is Choice Scarfed, I'm going to pull a cheeky switch here into Zangoose. Pretty much certain that he's choiced into Shadow Ball, and it doesn't affect me. So now, Zangoose is going to force Carson to do what Zangoose does, and that is, you know, pick a fodder. Carson doesn't have a choice, he has to pick a fodder. He is going to choose the Decidueye, proving once and for all he is Choice Scarfed. I'm going to land the Fire Punch. We are going to land a crit here, absolutely didn't matter. You know, Fire Punch would have taken out anything else he had left in 1 or 2 hits. So it's 6 on 2, and Carson really only again has one choice here. He has to go into the Dug Trio. Now if he's Scarfed, I'll live an Earthquake, but I don't know if he's Scarfed or Banded, so either way I am just going to go for the Quick Attack, just to get as much damage as possible. It doesn't quite take him out, we just miss out on the KO, but as you'll see here, Dug Trio's Earthquake is not going to take out Goose Bolton. He is in fact a Scarfed Dug Trio, and the difference is his Toxic is going to take him out at this point. Down goes Dug Trio, and very nicely, Zangoose's Toxic is not going to take out Zangoose. So now it is 6 on 1, and he only has a Sneasel left. And at this point, I'm just going to go on out into my Morwhole. I have literally no reason not to do this at this point. I get the Intimidate, you know, I will 1v1 him, probably. So he's actually going to surprise me with the Z move. I wasn't entirely expecting him to have one. And I was like, okay, what are we working with here? Didn't recognise the animation at first. Now it turns out that this is the Darkium Z on Sneasel, and it is Black Hole Eclipse from Throat Chop. So he's going to go for it. Look at that animation, that is a beautiful animation. He's going to suck Morwhole up into the black hole, drop it down, and do bugger all. It does absolutely nothing. I'm so happy about that. Now at this point, Carson is going to start going for flinches. I don't begrudge him that. It's his only chance to rescue any kind of differential from this game, because he's not doing any damage to me. And this time around, we're going to get the lucky end of it. After we flinch, he's going to miss his next one, and I'm going to land a Toxic. Now, normally, I'd just Iron Head him and be done with it. But, as you know, I only have Charge Beam as my attack, so it's going to have to be a bit of a slow, painful death for Sneasel here, for which I, do apologise. Now, unfortunately for me, this does open up a window for him to potentially get a kill, because as you'll see here, he is packing Swords Dance, which is mildly spooky, but it's okay. He's basically at +1 now, because of the Intimidate. I did go for Stockpile, kind of just to show it off, but also just in case he set up. So now he is essentially at neutral, and the Toxic is really racking up. Now, I'm going to try and start speeding up the process by going for Charge Beams here. This is an inevitability. He's going to go for a second Swords Dance, just to be trying to get as much damage on me as possible. Now he's essentially at +2. I'm going to miss a Charge Beam, which is, unfortunate, but again, not really game-changing at this point. And yeah, he's just going to keep on going for Icicle Crashes. He's going to land this one. This is essentially a +2 Sneasel going for Icicle Crash, and, it's really not going to do much at all. And this time, I am going to land the Charge Beam. It's not going to do a huge amount of damage, but as you'll see from the Toxic that he's going to take, he is going to go down next turn, and I wasn't sure if I'd live a Life Orb hit. Sorry, I'd live an Icicle Crash. So, I need to rescue as much differential as I can at this point in the season, so I am just going to make the very safe switch. I'm going to go into my Sash Mamoswine. Even if you predicted it and had low kick, it wouldn't matter because I'm sashed. As you'll see, the Icicle Crash is going to do a hefty chunklet. That's over 50%, but it's fine because the Toxic has taken its toll. It's going to rack up all the way. Down goes Ric Flair the Sneasel, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the game. Whew. We are back, guys. The biggest of wins at the moment we needed it. A commanding, if I say so myself, 6-0 over Carson. I just think it was the combination of good offensive prep and a meme. The meme picks in themselves, bringing Morwell and Dragonair. I don't know whether he was expecting the Dragonair. It was unfortunate that I never actually got to pull off the meme. I never got to baton pass any stats, any defensive stats from Morwell into anyone. But thankfully we didn't actually need to resort to that. We just managed a few good plays. The turn 1 Hidden Power Fire onto the Scizor was a big moment. It was a huge moment, and it was as much a mental blow to Carson, I think, a psychological one, as it was to his team, because that was his choice banded Scizor. That was his way of getting huge damage, if not KOing my Necrozma. So with that gone, Necrozma was always going to be a problem for him. And then I was able to play around certain other mons. He bought 3 choice mons. We had banded Scizor, we had Scarfed Decidueye, and we had Scarfed Dugtrio. So that was something that I was able to play around a little bit with immunities as well. But yeah, we're back basically. That was a much needed win. A hugely necessary win. It puts us at 1-3 with a -1 differential going into the next game, which is also a must win. That is against long time friend of the channel, AmazingChi, and Newcrustle United. Is he Newcrustle? Yeah, he's Newcrustle United. Someone who's been around in the PPL almost as long as we have, but we've never actually played each other, so it's going to be exciting as hell. Looking forward to that one. But as far as this one's concerned, a win's a win, and we do manage to take the full 6-0. So, good stuff. We are not out of this yet. We are still going for it. So, yeah, that's going to be it from this one. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. Links down in the description, of course, to Carson, aka Toxic Gaming. Do make sure you go check him out. He's a very good friend of mine, another good friend of the channel. You'll have seen him on here with the Drunk Lock with OnesieBanette. He's been around this channel for a little while. So do make sure you go over there and show him some love. As I say, good friend, good content creator, good guy. But yeah, that is going to end it from this one. So do keep supporting Parasect Germain, guys. I didn't think we'd say it again this season, but we are going for the top. This is not over. Alright? And I'm glad it isn't, because it means that little rant video from earlier is justified. 1 down, 7 to go. We have got this. But as I say, I am going to get out of here. So my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.